Internationalization of Indian rupee. In this short video, I will be explaining this idea of internationalization of Indian rupee. If you see the contemporary trade environment, the global trade, then it is dominated, overwhelmingly rather dominated by dollar. Approximately 88% of the global trade presently is conducted in dollar. After that, the most preferred currency is your euro, then comes Japanese yen, then comes sterling pound of British. If we talk about India, then it contributes only, it has a turnover of 1.7%. This is a very insignificant figure. So our trade, particularly with Bhutan and Nepal, is conducted in rupee. Other than that, rupee is not very acceptable currency globally. Therefore, the Reserve Bank of India in the year 2022 thought of internationalizing the Indian rupee. Now comes the concept of internationalization of Indian rupee. What do you mean by internationalization? See, internationalization of Indian rupee simply means that rupee will be used in cross-border transaction. Whether we do import or whether we do export, we will be able to pay in Indian rupee. So are we not able to do it right now? So the answer to this question is not at all. If had it been the case otherwise, our figure would not have been 1.7%. Is not it? So what we are doing right now, we are converting Indian rupee into American dollar. Then the same American dollar is being paid to, let's say we trade with Saudi Arabia or we trade with other countries from where we buy oil. So we pay them dollar, they convert dollar into their own domestic currency. So there are two-step process, two level at which you have to convert. Dollar being the intermediate currency, the currency of exchange. Now this process will be removed the moment Indian rupee become internationalized. We will be able to settle our import and export bills in terms of rupee. So this particularly or primarily is the idea of rupee internationalization. Now, what is the context? What was the trigger point? Why RBI thought it? RBI thought it in the year 2022. Primarily, you can say there are three reasons. The reason number one is that your rupee was sliding very fast vis-a-vis dollar. You must have heard that rupee has reached approximately 85. So it is creating excessive burden on the economy of India. Now, when the rupee is sliding, well, RBI has to take certain steps. So in that scenario, RBI sells the dollar that they have in their forex reserve in the market so that the demand and supply of the dollar is balanced and rupee's slide could be arrested. That is one thing that they do. And do remember that in the last year, approximately invested $40 billion to arrest the further slide of rupee towards 90 or for that matter 100. That is one thing. Another thing, since India import more, export less. So if rupee is weaker or getting weaker vis-a-vis dollar, then it will create your current account deficit. The deficit is increasing year after year, and it's not a sustainable thing. It's not a stable thing. It's not a very nice news for country like India. That is one point. Second thing is that America has imposed certain economic sanction on Russia because of the Ukraine war, and previously they have imposed economic sanction, similar kind of sanction on Iran as well. So our trade with this country become very difficult the moment economic sanction is imposed, because the system was same, like we used to convert rupee into dollar and dollar into their domestic currency. So now this particular thing also has certain geopolitical significance. It somehow hampers our strategic autonomy. We are not able to fully engage economically in terms of trade with these countries. That is again a very big problem. So looking at all this problem, RBI decided in July 2022 that let's go for internationalization. Now, For internationalization, many techniques could be used, such as swap agreement, such as your bilateral investment treaty, such as rupee denominated bond, such as masala bond, those sort of things. These are some of the methods through which you can internationalize. Also, particularly the prime mover nowadays is your transaction in terms of rupee transaction in under the framework of bilateral investment treaty. So we are also in talks with Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and we have given loan, rupee denominated loan to your help to Sri Lanka as well. So these are some of the steps that is done. Now here, how this transaction will work? When the medium of exchange is dollar, then how this transaction, rupee transaction, will be done? Rupee, ruble, you can say, the Russian currency. So for that, there is an account called as Vostro account. I will be making a separate video for Vostro account. Vostro account comes into picture. Through Vostro account, you can transact in local currencies. Now, if rupee is internationalized, what are the advantages? The first advantage, one could say, that is a pride moment for us. So some of the benefits, you can say that it will reduce our reliance on dollar. We don't have to maintain dollar as a reserve currency, because maintenance of reserve currency, when the fluctuation is high, the cost incurred into it is extremely high. For instance, I quoted that RBI last year invested of approximately $40 billion to stop the slide of Indian rupee. Now, that is one advantage that India can have. Second advantage is that international volatility. When there is volatility in the international market, definitely it is going to impact the dollar. And when it impacts the dollar, it used to impact the Indian rupee as well. Such volatility will have lesser impact. Another advantage, you can say, that the Indian businesses and Indian government will have more bargaining power, where we are not completely reliant on dollar or euro for that matter. We can simply trade in our own currency. Another economic benefit is that it will reduce our current account deficit as well, because the moment dollar become your dearer currency and rupee become weak, then current account deficit increases. That will help as well. Another important thing is the strategic advantage. A strategic autonomy it will grant, where we can trade with other countries. For example, one example, very important example that come to my mind, I would like to say that Chabahar port is a very strategic port we are building in Iran. But the time period on which that port was supposed to be built, it was not built yet. One of the reasons was the economic imposition, sanction imposition by the US. In such scenario, if there is a rupee is internationalized, we can easily transact in other medium as well. So these are some of the advantages as well. I hope that you have understood the concept. So thank you very much.